Before 1970, going to work in American industry was a high-stakes gamble. There was almost no federal oversight to keep workers safe. The United States was in the middle of a massive economic boom in the 1960s. Industrial capacity expanded rapidly, but the human cost of that production was staggering. This split-screen visualization illustrates the severe toll. On the left, we see a sharp rise in U.S. industrial production, but on the right, you see the grim reality. 14,000 workers died on the job every year, alongside a 20% spike in disabling injuries. Employers frequently viewed these accidents as an unavoidable cost of doing business. In crowded workshops like this one, workers operated directly next to exposed belts and heavy gears, with virtually no accountability if someone got hurt. At the time, workplace safety was not a legal requirement. It was a luxury that depended entirely on whether you happened to have a safety-conscious boss. Hazards were treated as mundane parts of the daily routine. Here, workers are casually smoking in a designated zone directly next to heavy, lint-producing textile machinery, an environment filled with highly combustible fibers. In construction, the physical risks were extreme. Steelworkers regularly navigated narrow beams high above city streets, completely unprotected by harnesses or safety netting. These public, entirely preventable tragedies eventually created a boiling point for political intervention. That intervention arrived on December 29, 1970, when President Richard Nixon signed the Occupational Safety and Health Act into law. This established the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, or OSHA. The agency's core mission is straightforward: to assure safe and healthful working conditions for every working man and woman in the nation. The law's most powerful enforcement tool is Section 5A1, commonly known as the General Duty Clause. This clause requires employers to provide a workplace free from recognized hazards that cause or are likely to cause death or serious physical harm. It acts as a catch-all, holding employers responsible even if OSHA hasn't written a specific safety standard for a new piece of technology or process. With this legislation, the legal burden of risk shifted. Keeping workers alive was no longer the sole responsibility of the employee trying to dodge hazards. It was the legal obligation of the employer. To enforce this, OSHA developed a massive regulatory framework under Title 29 of the Code of Federal Regulations, or CFR. As this diagram shows, the OSHA Act branches out into 4 distinct color-coded regulatory sectors. The largest branch is general industry, covered under Part 1910. This applies to most workplaces, from manufacturing to healthcare, and includes critical rules for chemical safety and machine guarding. Then there is the construction sector, under Part 1926, which focuses on the dynamic, high-risk hazards of building sites, especially fall protection standards. The maritime sector, found in Parts 1915 through 1919, regulates the unique dangers faced by shipyard workers and terminal operators, ensuring they have the proper protective gear and procedures. Finally, Part 1928 covers agriculture. This sector establishes equipment-specific standards, like mandating rollover protective structures for heavy machinery such as tractors. This comprehensive coverage means that regardless of the industry you work in, your right to safety is protected by federal law. Once these enforceable standards took effect, the survival rate of American workers improved drastically. We went from unprotected laborers to an environment where brightly colored, professionally inspected personal protective equipment, or PPE, is mandatory. This line graph shows the dramatic 50-year descent of workplace injuries. Look at the steep drop. Non-fatal injuries went from 10.9 incidents per 100 workers in 1972 all the way down to 2.8 in 2018, with key milestones accelerating the decline. Specific health standards, like the strict regulations on inhaling cotton dust, nearly wiped out once common occupational diseases, such as brown lung. By legally mandating hazard recognition and prevention, these regulations have saved countless lives and preserved billions of dollars in compensation costs. Today, OSHA is a highly active, modern entity operating out of the Francis Perkins Building in Washington, D.C. The agency is moving toward what is called predictive vigilance. They are utilizing advanced data analytics and real-time risk heat maps to stop injuries before they even happen. They are also addressing complex modern threats, establishing new priorities for extreme heat stress, mental health awareness, and workplace violence prevention. The core message remains exactly the same as it was in 1970. Returning home whole and healthy at the end of a shift is not a byproduct of productivity. It is a federally protected human right. To learn more about the specific standards for your industry and how to keep your workplace compliant, visit HSE Study today.